Hi everyone, Happy New Year and Happy New Moon. I'm going to share something a little different on the page today. I often do full moon and new moon rituals and share on my Instagram, Yoga with Cha, and I get a lot of questions and people want to know more about what I do and why I do it. So today, I thought I'd share one of my new moon rituals. So I usually do something different, although the theme is the same, to start something new, to set a new intention. That's what I do on new moon. And this new moon, the first new moon of the year, January 21st, 24th, January 24th, I am going to be setting up my altar. So I just moved to a new room at my house. It's still in a kind of setting up process, so I can't share the whole thing right now, but I do need to set up my altar ASAP. So I'm going to show you what I do and explain a few things about why I'm doing it. So this is my little corner. Right now the bed is still on the floor because we're getting a bed frame built. I used to be on this side, but as you can see, that's where all the nice breeze is, and it was really cold. So I moved over here, my drum and my plants. So this little spot is where I'm going to set up my altar. So when I wake up and before I go to bed, I can just sit right here and do my meditation, see my prayers, etc. So the first thing I'm going to do is take all of this stuff out. Then I'm going to tidy up the spot. And I will carry my table that I use as an altar into the spot, and then I'll show you the things that I put on it and why. This little table was gifted to me by a very dear friend of mine, Carla, and she was leaving the country and she offered it to me. It's slightly damaged here, but it is very old and very beautiful and I love it and it's perfect. I wanted something for my altar, I told her, and she gifted me this. It has a little drawer underneath and I keep matches for lighting my candles or a lighter and other things that I use or may use during my ceremonies. Sage, Palo Santo. I have rocks and crystals and feathers in here and incense. So whatever I feel that I need close by, I keep it in here. The next thing I do is cover my altar. So I cover it with a white cloth. My mother just gave me this crochet. I wanted something like lace or white lace, but she gave me this crochet which my grand aunt who has passed did. So I think it's ideal and perfect. So whatever goes on your altar has to mean something to you, and it's completely personal. There are no rules. That's what I believe anyway. There are no rules to it. There's nothing that should be there and nothing that shouldn't be there. Whatever you desire is what goes here. Now, some people are working on different things when they set up their altar. So if you're probably working on expanding your heart or manifesting love, then maybe you put a green cloth or a pink cloth on your altar which relates to your heart chakra. That might mean something to you, but it's not necessary that is what you do. Maybe your altar has no cloth, but mine has this crocheted square which is too short for the whole altar, so I'm turning it like this so I can get it on here. You could also cleanse the space and the altar before you put anything on it. Sage the space. You could do whatever cleansing ritual that you have. It would be great to do that. I don't feel the need to do it, so I won't do it. So once I have my cloth, then I add stuff to my altar. Now that's the second thing, is the intention of the altar. My very first altar was an ancestor altar. I did a reading with Moon Goddess Cece, and she recommended for me, or in my reading came the message that I needed to connect with my ancestors, which is something that I had not been doing and had never done before. So when I created that altar, I searched for a photograph of my grandfather, which is one of the ancestors past that I felt connected to as much as I could have at that point. And then at the same time, I was in my sister's room and I saw a photograph of my great grandmother, so I took that for my altar. And recently, while I was cleaning, I found a photograph of my grandmother on my father's side, and it really came at an opportune time. And after carrying it in my wallet for a few days, it ended up on my ancestor altar. So this altar is going to be an ancestor altar again, because the last one was so powerful and I really just feel very connected to my ancestors. Not just the 3 images that I had on the altar, but so much energy of my ancestors come to me all the time. So I feel really connected to them. The ancestors that I was working with at the time really helped me. So now I'm going to add my ancestor images to the space. So this is the photograph of my grandfather that I found online, and I usually put it right here, so when I meditate we make eye contact. Well, not when I meditate, when I sit at the altar, that we make eye contact. He has this very stern look on his face, so I always try to crack a joke to it can stay there like this. What you do, once you place the things that you want, when you sit here facing your altar, to bring up the feelings or the vibrations or the energy that you like, as you go along, if you're making petitions, if you're asking for something, then you definitely make an offering. So that's the other thing that I do. One of the offerings that I usually make is an offering of spirit. And I only started to do this again after Moon Goddess CC posted about offering spirits to the spirits. Both of my grannies love their spirits. I don't know that my grandfather drank that much, but they loved it. So I make the offering to all of them, and I pour it in this cup, and it's some rum that I got from Martinique, and it evaporates, so it's almost as if they consume it. So when I'm in ceremony, when I'm sitting here, I pour this in. So I keep this bottle of rum close by, right next to the altar. I recently got some Florida water, because sometimes I pull cards at my altar as well. So I got this so that I can try it, but I've never used it before, so it will also stay right here next to the altar. Then after that, if there's anything else, so most people and myself, when I come to the altar, I would burn a little bit of sage just to cleanse the energy. Well, not cleanse the energy, but to purify myself, purify the space. A lot of people don't like smoke, so I don't always use smoke, but this goes on the altar. It usually goes in the back. I have a feather that I got on the beach that I use to spread it around, and of course a candle. So I've been using this beautiful candle. It's a lavender wax, coconut wax candle from Chazelle, and it makes the crackling sound, so I kind of love it. So I keep it here as well. And if you are like me, you collect a lot of rocks, so you may put the rock on your altar, or maybe crystals. So you can also add crystals, you can add rocks, you can add shells. I usually have a shell. I also keep a small bowl, so this has been acting as my bowl, but I do have others like coconut bowls. This is just a piece of coconut shell that I found, and if I'm making an offering, if it's grain or anything, depends, I would put it in here. And finally, I get feathers all the time, and I believe feathers are messages from my guides, my spirit guides. And if I do pick them up, I don't always pick them up, but if I do, then as time goes by, I put them on the altar. The other thing that I like to include is something that creates sound. I use sound most of the time to cleanse my space. I do burn a little bit of sage sometimes, but I am allergic to smoke, so I don't do that often. But I use sound, and this reminds me a lot of my African roots, so I use that. I also use symbols, but I keep these elements because also there's another thing that you could do on your altar is to add the elements. My battery's about to die, so I'm going to wrap it up. The final thing I would say is that I did say I pull cards sometimes, so I keep my decks close by. I'll probably put them right underneath here. And then I keep my cushion that I sit on right in front of my altar. And that is it. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about setting up an altar, just let me know, send me a message. But remember, it is all about you, your personal preference. Whatever you like and you can connect to goes here. I'll do some more information about altars. I'll also be posting my full moon rituals, which are more cleansing rituals, letting go. Subscribe to this channel if you're interested in that kind of thing. Thank you for watching, and have a beautiful full moon, whatever you choose to do. I'll make it resonate with you and set some intentions. Bye bye.